Hey guys, I'm in my last semester at ArtCenter College of Design, and this is week 3 of presentation. This is my week 3 of presentation and critique in class. You can ask me questions about any part of this video and I'll do my best to answer them. Hope this gives you a better idea of how design students are learning through online classes in design schools. If it did, please like and subscribe for more of this kind of videos.
3/4 of an inch. It doesn't have to be very wide. Cove lighting or lighting that's like under the table. Why? Why does it look like that?
What do you mean? What's wrong with my design?
My other favorite building to complain about with railings is... Alright,
So I changed some form language. So it used to be just stairs, but I incorporated stairs into the platform like this.
Okay. Yep.
I'm still debating if I should like continue this form language up the whole stairs.
So when you say the form language, you mean the fact that it's a little bit irregular here? So by form language, you mean the fact that it's, you know, this distance, but then it's bigger here, and then it's a little bigger here, and then it's a little smaller here?
It's like all random.
Okay, so why, and you're missing something here.
Yeah, I just saw that.
So, I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I'm just curious, how are you talking about it? Like, how does this relate to the other decisions you've made in the project?
So the original idea was that from the previous crafts and understanding, we're building on top of those skills. And so we're rising to the top.
Great.
I don't know when it transitioned into this.
Okay. I mean, it's a relatively subtle difference. I think it's interesting to, I think it's an interesting story to talk about it that way. I think you have some opportunities to think about it being, if you want, and this is entirely up to you, but it could also follow a different path. It doesn't have to hug that side, right? In other words, you could imagine going this way, and then maybe walk over this way and go up, and then maybe back and go up, and then over and up. I don't know. It depends on the story you're trying to tell. So, talking about building on top, you know, in some ways, the only difference between these two is that each level is more kind of part of the stair. It looks like it's like you go up and then you're encouraged to go to each level first and then back to go up. That's maybe the strongest difference, I guess. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's fine. I don't have any problem with it. I think it's more interesting this way, for sure. You just have to solve this, and then just ask yourself whether it makes sense for these areas to be all on one side, or if it makes sense for the stair to be actually like a little bit more of a process. And that's entirely up to you. I don't have any opinion on which one is better. Meaning I have an opinion, but it's not important. It's important that you have an opinion.
What is your opinion?
If I wanted to tell you, I would have told you already. It's just an opinion. What's important is the story.
Okay.
So if you have an opinion backed up by a story, then you win.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what I'm saying is the two are very similar. They're almost the same.
Yeah.
If I could go, I would enjoy this space either way. I just want you to, work with the storytelling more.
Okay.
That's all. But I totally agree that this is less interesting than this already, right? Like this is all that what you've done here is already more interesting. So you're already, just visually, it's more interesting, right? And it encourages your eye to move around and your body to move around already. So it's already better. It's less like, this is much more of a like, all right, let's go up. You also do need to have some handrails here.
Oh yeah. It's just hide it in Rhino file. Yeah. Hid in the Rhino file. Okay. Also, one of the feedback that I received during the final presentation was that I don't have enough seatings, but it's just that in the Rhino there weren't a lot of people, but there's enough seatings.
Okay. It looks like there's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got rid of the vertical bars that's creating the shadings.
Okay.
I'm going to add light, weight, soft curtains to diffuse light into the space.
Okay. Remind me which side that faces. I think it's east, right?
I'm not sure.
Ooh, you have to know.
I did know. I did like the sun studies.
Right. So make sure you know at midterm.
Okay.
Or by next week. Remind yourself.
Okay.
It's just that when you start talking about, shade, then shade depends on the sun, right? So we need to know where the sun is mostly coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay.
So if I'm right and this is the south, then we really have to worry about the sun coming in on this facade. And if this is east, then it doesn't matter that much. It's a problem in the morning, but then after that it's over.
There's going to be curtains all around.
Okay.
I'm gonna have that in my renderings.
Okay. Why curtains?
I wanted to evenly distribute the light.
Okay, sure. But it's even then, there's a difference between curtains and, let's say, roller blinds in terms of how they look, right? So curtains are they're much more organic and soft and residential in feeling.
Yeah.
And roller blinds are more commercial, more like an office space.
Yeah. So this one definitely had that more of corporate looking office space, but this is a lot softer.
Okay. I'm sorry if this is too cliche. Shigeru Ban's curtain wall house? It's called the curtain wall house.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
this is I want this to be at night.
Exactly.
Something like this, yeah.
Right. But I'm talking about it because it has this balance between or juxtaposition between very hard geometries and then very, very soft material, right?
Yeah.
Both visually soft and texturally soft.
Yeah, that I wanted to make it look visually soft.
Yeah. Good.
Okay. Because the feedback was that it doesn't look very inviting.
Right, and then the other thing about it is if they're curtains. So this is all pottery down here, right?
So...
This is the clay, right?
What do you mean?
Well, where the curtains are up on the third floor?
Yeah, this is the second floor. So this is still the platform.
Yeah, but I think of this as like a second level. It's up a full story.
It's like 8 feet.
Right. Well,
7?
The full story is 9, so.
It's just built for platform.
I understand. I understand it's not, and I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying it's tall. Mm-hmm. This is very tall. Yeah. It's not a single story height. It's pretty much 2 stories tall.
I wanted to make it higher than every building around it.
Right. What I'm trying to say though is this is pottery. This is clay. Yes.
Like pottery making space?
What happened? Yeah.
What happens? This is just the gathering space, just like communal space.
So what happens up here?
So if you look at the floor plan right here, you go up. Left is the coffee making space. So this is like the roasting and coffee making.
That's
and
the
then
top level?
This is the second level. This is the top level.
Is the top level a roof?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the second interior, the upper interior level.
Right.
Okay.
When you go left,
it's coffee.
It's coffee. And then when you go right, there's tables for pottery, and there is ceramics retail, and this is coffee retail.
I guess what I would say is over here, just, as you know, pottery is a messy craft, and so just curtains are maybe not so good over here.
there's windows and curtains, so
Yeah.
you can move around the curtains.
Yes, I know, with my hand that's covered in clay.
The people will
It's
do it for
messy.
you.
It's messy. So what I'm suggesting is that, again, I have a feeling that if this is Santa Fe,
Yeah.
and do you know what street this is?
This is the alleyway. It doesn't have the street name.
It's an alley. I can't remember where the front and the back is. Where north and south is.
Oh.
Let's go check it out.
There's... Okay. So it's right next to Mara Coffee. This is like one of these buildings. They're Soho House.
So it's one of these.
Yeah, it's like this.
So the alley is here.
Yeah.
So it faces east.
Right.
The entrance is facing east.
Yeah.
So the clay area is here facing north, so you don't need curtains here.
Okay.
Because it's north light. You actually don't want curtains. You want the windows to be open so that the light just comes in. Because the north light is not very strong.
Yeah.
So then on the other sides,
Uh-huh.
right here, you want curtains because it'll get blasted by the sun.
Yeah. What if at night we still want privacy?
From who?
Just people in the public, because it's so high up. It's like above every building right here.
Yeah, but if you're in a building here and you're talking about somebody here, and there's a building here, right? How do I see over this building to see this person?
Like right here from street to your
There's
building.
no way you can see it. No chance. Show me that you can see in, and then we'll talk. Put your camera here, build this building here, and show me that there's a privacy problem. I don't think there is one.
Okay.
It's you're making stuff with clay. Like, what's the problem? It's not like you're with your lover or something, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's not that big of a deal. It's just when in practice, nobody's ever going to close that curtain.
Okay.
But it's fine. You can put it there in the renderings. It's okay.
I also got rid of the awning. It was really heavy.
Okay.
But instead I want to have more trees and have more shadings.
Shadings like what?
Oh, have more trees and create natural shadings rather than having awnings.
Okay.
This is a coffee station, tasting station. The placement is flushed into the fixture to have like temperature adjustments settings for each sections to keep the drinks fresh.
Okay.
You know how some cars have like cup holders that you could adjust temperatures to keep it hot or cold. So this is a big change. So to have a full experience of cup to seed, I want to show a glimpse of how coffee are grown in different parts of the world and what affects the taste in the end. So I'm expanding the roof floor and adding a garden to grow coffee trees from different regions of the world. To do that, I have to mimic the weather of those places. So I'm putting like covering to regulate it with technology. So
yeah, I just don't know enough about coffee except to say that I know it grows in the mountains. I'm not sure what kind of climate it wants, so you're going to have to do a little research on that and figure out how to control the climate. It probably needs to be a totally enclosed space.
Yeah, so for the most part, the coffee is grown inside like the Earth's equator zone, but the environment condition is what matters, and geographically it doesn't really matter. So the most important condition necessary for coffee to grow is in the presence of like tropical climate where there's like plenty of water in soil. And of course, like too much sunlight or hydration can be.
I think the temperature matters too, though, because it doesn't grow in like in the Northeast United States, in the New York City area, for instance, right? There's tons of water and really great soil, but coffee doesn't grow there.
Because it's a city, right?
No, in the Hudson River Valley, there's all kinds of farms up there. So look into that a little bit more. I think the climate matters. I think the temperature matters. Humidity matters. I think the space needs to be a greenhouse. It needs to be totally enclosed.
Yeah, which is a big change. But what gave me courage to do this is that it's not about geographic constraints. It has a lot.
I think you could grow it in a controlled environment if you create a fully enclosed space. I say greenhouse just because a greenhouse is it may not actually want to be a greenhouse, meaning it may not want to be like all glass, right? But I think you have to do a little bit of research on exactly what the temperature, and humidity conditions are, because if it needs, some plants want a lot of sunlight, some plants don't want a lot of sunlight. It's going to change whether or not it has an open roof, like a glass roof, or a shaded roof, or a totally opaque roof,
right?
Things like that. So you should look into that a little bit, so that
because
you're designing for one plant. You're not designing for this isn't like an herb garden for a restaurant where you just kind of generally want a greenhouse. Like, it's very specific to this one plant. So I would do a little research on that.
So I mean, there's different plants, like different coffee trees grow in different environments. But so I was initially going to have like various rooms, but that's why it's really big. But I think I don't want too big of a space dedicated to this. A smaller one that changes the condition, so we can experience, or we can watch different types of trees grow.
Okay. It strikes me as a little bit oversized, the height of it, so just make sure that makes sense.
Okay. But interestingly, coffee tends to grow in clay and in high altitude, which is interesting.
Right. I remember it being a mountain thing.
Yeah. And this is like another form language.
Right. That strikes me as a little bit more reasonable in terms of the scale. Just bringing the height down a little bit. It's not so much about what's going on here. It's just the overall height of this thing. I'm not sure how big it needs to be. You've already climbed this giant staircase. I don't know how much more mountain you need. You know what I mean?
It could be elevated, but also carving out, having a walkway here.
Right, but this is like 15 feet high, right? So the question is, what height does it need to be, right? If it was just 8 feet high, which is already the height of a room, right? You could still carve out a space and feel completely enclosed in it, And then you might be able to get the whole thing into a structure that's only 15 feet high, which is already still really tall. So just try to get into that.
Okay.
The other thing to keep in mind is, in section, you will not be building like a solid clay thing, a solid dirt thing. Dirt is extremely heavy, especially when you have to water the plants, and now you're adding the weight of the water to it. So you will wind up with, in reality, you will wind up with a planter box for the tree to grow in. I thought it was more like a bush, but whatever the thing is. And then, and that will be filled with soil. And then you'll have something that's foam, probably. And then you'll have a little bit of a layer of soil everywhere else.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Just because the cost of building a structure that can hold this much dirt, it's just expensive for no reason.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So you should look at intensive green roofs, although this isn't a roof, because it's not, well, some of this is enclosed, and it looked like some of it might be open. So whatever you have that's open, you might look at green roofs. Intensive allow for trees, and extensive is for small stuff like grass. But anyway, just look at how green roofs are made.
I'm going to upload the PDF.
Great. You have a section too?
So I have a lot to send you during the week.
That's okay. Do you have a section also?
That is one thing.
So I think we talked about doing cross sections.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? I would recommend that.
Right.
And probably, you have at least two, and with this other one, with this, potential rooftop garden, you might have a third. I don't know.
I should
so
have
start
one
by
here,
just cutting at least these two, somewhere back in here.
Right.
And then we'll go from there.
Okay.
It depends on what's going on here on the roof.
Yeah.
Right, but I think for sure you're going to do something like that. And for sure you're going to do something back in here. And
yeah.
I don't know whether those two might be enough.
Mm-hmm. Or like the second one could be here with the garden.
Maybe. Right, yeah, I don't know how big that coffee garden is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, when you know more about that, then you can work on that.
Okay.
Okay.
So the furniture and fixtures. The table has a setup with a variety of coffee brewed through different techniques. There you can taste and connect with the baristas, honing their craft, or purchase beans to take home. There are stationaries displayed throughout to maintain shared information. There I can share about like the temperature adjustments options about this one. And then for Ceramic Studio, it's designed to enhance the interaction of sharing techniques between the members by elevating the throwing wheel portion, thereby adjusting the clay to a standing person's eye level. The side tables are for sharing, also providing opportunities to interact with this.
Okay. What are those tables made of?
Wood.
Any
maybe like steel.
Plywood, probably?
Yeah, probably.
Because it's bent.
Yeah.
And then it's going to need a little bit of structure in there. It seems optimistically too thin there.
Okay.
I think if you're talking about designing these yourself, you might look at how tables like a table like this, by the time you put anything on it, I don't know is this going to have like clay on it?
Yeah.
So you're going to put things on this. It's about a 5 foot long table or so. It's going to bend. And so I think, inside here, you're going to need a piece of structure. Basically, if I do a cross section here, the minimum you're going to need is, two steel tubes like that. So I don't know if you overheard my conversation with Winnie about cantilevers, but we're looking, what we try to do is 25%, and then you can do 50 and 25. With tables, it's a little different because it's a smaller scale thing and you're not standing on it. Plywood is just this piece, but you need a structure under here to hold it up to keep it from bending.
Sorry, okay. What's the 25, 50, 25?
It's the distances.
Oh, I see. Oh, so I can just add that in right here.
Yeah, so it would be mostly invisible until you got to here, and then you're going to see these coming down to the ground.
Yeah.
Although these pieces don't necessarily need this much structure, but they need more than a half inch of material here. So it's going to need, the thickness here is going to need to be probably at least an inch or so, I think. Yeah, for sure, at least an inch, maybe a little more. And again, when you look at this in section like this could be one piece of plywood, maybe, given the size of it, but then you have a separate piece here, right? And it's on some kind of, something like that.
Yeah.
So this is a weak joint.
Yeah.
So, if somebody pushes here, it's going to want to make this whole thing kind of, bend like that, So you need something in there to keep that corner strong. Okay. So it could be, something like that.
Yeah.
You're going to have this secondary structure anyway doing this.
So I'll just wrap that around.
So maybe it's just continuing that down.
Okay.
But then do you want to see it or not? Right?
Yeah,
So
I don't
then
mind.
maybe you have to cover that in something, right?
Yeah. So how thick would the structure be? The blue
Well,
part?
up here it's going to want to be.
I couldn't hear. What did you say?
I said I was looking at my table actually that I'm sitting at, which is a piece of plywood sitting on a metal frame, and it's about 6 feet long, so it's a pretty good example of what you do. So it's about an inch and a half tall.
Okay.
Okay, so it would be like it'd be like 1.5 by maybe, that could be as small as a 1/2 inch actually. Or 3/4 of an inch. It doesn't have to be very wide, right? And then the plywood on top, I would say, just for its own stability, wants to be at least 3/4.
Okay. So you're saying 3/4 on this structure, like this sleeve should be 3/4.
This, sorry, I'm trying to erase and it's not letting me erase. I will try this over here. Try again. Something like that. Does that make sense?
Oops. Why is there a red thing in the middle?
It's just because I was lazy and didn't change my color.
Oh, okay. A steel tube. Okay. That makes sense.
The tube is hollow, you know.
This is another set of like strategy. You could also use the platform as seatings. The tables are designed to hover over two persons seating position even when they're both sitting on the platform. That's for the communal space. And then for marketplace, where artisans sell their ceramics, one end of the table extrudes out to conceal belongings or any objects behind the table, and the other end rests on an elevated rise. The height of the table allows the artist to sit comfortably while maintaining the same eye level as the customer.
Okay.
The lighting during the day is evenly distributed from having a lot of windows and open skylight. And during the evening, the lighting highlights the gathering area. If you look at the coffee making and the tasting station, it highlights where people interact. And so does the ceramic studio, where the throwing wheels and tables
So what
are.
I'm curious about there, though, is most of this looks like cove lighting or lighting that's like under the tables or under the platforms.
Yeah.
And so I just wonder if there wouldn't also be task lighting.
So these are the ceiling lights.
Okay, great.
Is this...
This is enough. You don't need both. This is fine.
Should I separate it or this is... Okay,
No, this is good. This is good.
Cool. That's all I have to show you.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, so get on the drawings, send them my way.
So yeah, I was changing a lot on form language actually, and like, so you're saying this is way too tall.
For sure. Seems to me. I don't know why it needs to be.
I don't know. I
so
just
make
have
it
the
right size.
Okay.
Like it's a new building, but make it the right size. Figure out what size it needs to be and make it that size. Okay.
Okay.
I feel like we've already climbed the mountain just to get here. I don't know that we need another mountain inside.
Okay.
Okay. And then figure out how big these trees are. Because I'm not sure they're all like 20 feet tall. I feel like they're not that big, but I could be wrong. So you be the expert. You tell me, and make it the right size.
So what else do you think I should work on?
Those railings.
Oh, it's right here. Okay, wait. It's right here.
Why? Why does it look like that?
What do you mean?
like, why does it look like, you know, you have this like intensely custom building, and then you went to, you know, Joe's railing shop and bought a railing?
Well, I kind of like it like this, but what else can I do?
Explain it. Explain why you like it. Like, what's good about this? It looks like a prison.
Hey, that's what David said too.
I know, we say it that way not because we mean it, but because it's just very generic and very different form language than everything else, you know? Like, it's this very heavily linear vertical thing that doesn't really match this more, you know, the form language that you've got now is more about the frames, right? You've got these very graphic frames.
Yeah.
Frame
oh, should I continue this kind of graphical frames?
I don't know. There are lots of different kinds of railings. You can design them any way you want. So the only rule is that it has to be 42 inches above the floor. Mm-hmm. You know, so, and the gaps in the panel can't be bigger than 4 inches wide, but they could be perforations. They don't have to be bars. You know what I mean? But can I share my screen really quick?
Yeah.
Like when a long time ago. There. So, like, you know, when Rios did their offices when they were back on Larchmont, they've moved since, but they designed these railings that are just perforated screens, right? Mm-hmm. So this screen acts like a railing to keep people from falling off the balcony.
Okay.
Right? It does not need to be. It can be anything, right? It can be. There's really no limit to what you could do with that. So all I'm asking is, you know, design it.
Okay.
Let me give you another. I'll give you another way to look at this. My other favorite building to complain about with railings is the Aqua Tower in Chicago, which is a really cool building, right? It's this beautiful, beautiful building, and then it has railings that, like, it's like they gave up. You know what I mean? They're just like the dumbest possible rail. There's a really good picture of how bad they are, actually. I don't know if I can find it, but, like, it's just sad.
Yeah, I see.
I don't know if you can see over here, there's like this funny angled piece also, because the way they designed it, it was so thin that it needed more support laterally, and so the way that there it is. Look at these kickers, these little angles. This is like a crime. To do this to this building, it's like you go through all of this, and, you know, don't get me wrong, you know, I haven't designed anything this interesting. This is a great building, right? But my God, they lost it on the railings. It's really just, it's awful. It's awful. It's a big, to me, it's a huge failure. It's like.
But I was kind of proud of my railings.
So I don't mean to beat you up so much. If you love them that much, then describe why they.
No, it's not. I don't love them.
No. But describe again, just like everything else, Hannah. Just describe why they're the right decision. Right? Okay. So if this kind of, you know, vertical linear element creates a rhythm, or creates a particular kind of screen for the environment, or is a good counterpoint to the frame form language, I can go with anything. I just want to hear you kind of fit it into the story. Okay? Yeah. I'm not telling you have to make something decorative like Rios. I was just trying to use that as a way of saying railings can be a lot of different things.
I think I'm being hard on myself and telling me that I need to do, like, website and packaging design.
For next week?
For this project.
You can do it if you want to do it, but I don't need it for next week.
Okay.
But you can propose that for the final, for sure. That would be really great.
Okay. Propose.
So you could have that on your list of things that you're going to talk about at midterm. You could show some ideation sketches if you want.
Okay.
As a way of saying that you're working on the branding and packaging for the project. That's cool. That would be really cool.
Okay. FF&E is only for fixtures and furniture that I will buy for the space, right? So because I'm designing the furniture, I don't need it.
Right. And there's no lighting that's fixtures.
Yeah.
They're all...
I'm designing it. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Okay, guys. See you next time. Send me some stuff.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
The recording